The question has been posed. Is it more effective for the seeker to simply work with the catalysts of the day, those interactions with others that naturally are part of each seeker's day, so that each seeker simply utilizes the opportunities of the moment in whatever way they have to process the experience, and gain from it information to enhance the spiritual journey and to be a service to others? Or is it more effective to create what one may call intentions or visualizations, or the type of affirmation that is designed to structure the experience of the seeker in a fashion that will be more effective in doing the work of the seeker to learn and to serve? We would suggest that when you look at the first technique of accepting what is in your, you may say, destiny for the day, that you are being a receptacle or an individual expression of your pre-incarnative choices that allow you to proceed in a fashion which has its own internal rhythm, so that you may utilize this choice of what lesson to learn in this illusion that has come to you through your subconscious perception of the moment. This is the means by which most spiritual seekers are able to utilize what you may call the mirroring effect, where those that are part of the seeker's day show to the seeker some aspect of the seeker's pre-incarnative choices that will enhance the seeker's journey through the third density illusion. Each of you mirrors to the other that which the other has made a plan for expansion of its own consciousness due to the processing of the catalyst that comes from the mirroring effect. This is the means by which the great majority of spiritual seekers have access to enhancing their own understanding, shall we say, of their life's path and purpose. On the other hand, any seeker may at any time become aware of certain desires that yet itself feels are of a helpful nature if they are brought into the experiential nature of each day. To visualize or describe a certain affirmation is to make a particular kind of experience more liable to occur than the random or seeming random experience that does not use the affirmation or visualization. In this sense, you may see the possibility for giving the self a kind of alternative to the pre-incarnative choice. However, we would also suggest that as the affirmation is created, oftentimes the inspiration for such affirmation is that which is also pre-incarnatively chosen. Thus, there is the blending of that which is the conscious choice and that which has been determined before the incarnation to be the most helpful or appropriate path for the seeker to travel. And so these two varying approaches to the spiritual path and to approaching one's life may seemingly be at odds. But upon a closer examination, you may find that they are more compatible and intertwined than one may initially perceive. We find that this is often the case when a seeker within the third density discovers upon their path a seeming paradox. The limited view available within your illusion often hides the underlying unifying metaphysical reality that allows all paradoxes to be resolved. This limitation is one reason why we often offer what you call a disclaimer before we address queries and speak our thoughts through instruments within your channeling circle. We understand that when presenting such concepts from a point of view removed from the third density, there may sometimes seem to be puzzles or what appear to be contradictions in what could be called metaphysical logic. We encourage seekers to take with them that which resonates, for we find that this encouragement, if accepted by those who hear or read our words, often delivers to the seeker a simpler and more applicable truth without the need to resolve all paradoxes or reconcile all information that we share with you. And so, in this instance, with the query that has been presented, we encourage the seeker to contemplate the underlying manner in which these two seemingly different approaches to the spiritual path may be applicable individually in varying situations and to different seekers. We find that so often the stumbling blocks upon the spiritual path include the internal distortions of resistance to that which is, and this resistance can become a perpetuating cycle as the seeker is met with a difficult situation, a persisting theme, or a general unpleasant experience. And this resistance can become a perpetuating cycle as the seeker is met with a difficult situation, a persisting theme, or a general unpleasant experience in their lives, and aversion causes the seeker to fight against this experience in order to vanquish it. And yet we find this approach, when lacking the love of acceptance, generates a metaphysical charge that will in many cases perpetuate and even increase the intensity of the catalyst which is fought. So, the first approach described within the query, that of surrendering, may in a moment be that which the seeker needs the most, and in that moment is the extent of a spiritual approach that can be taken to then release the charge of perpetuating catalysts, thus allowing the seeker to accept the catalyst and utilize it for their spiritual growth. But when this approach is applied to the entirety of one's life within the third density, we believe the nuanced perspective that accounts for both approaches described in the larger spiritual journey of the seeker becomes necessary. To surrender to each and every moment without preference, without desire, would be, in our opinion, to completely miss the point, if you will, of the third density. Your journeys up to the point of third density have been carefully designed to imprint upon you very fundamental energies, causing you to take upon yourself certain distortions of preference and desire. In the first density, Entities learn to be moved, and to move, and to shape, and to be shaped. And as this dynamic persists into the evolution of second density, there is an ever-increasing complexity of influences upon the entity, creating a pattern of preferences and desires that is then carried into the third density. And it is this ever-important imprinting that generates the true benefits of the illusion accepted by the entity within third density. In exploring these preferences and these desires while the perception is veiled to the so-called larger picture, thus is polarization towards the service to others or the service to self possible. So we find the advice to completely surrender and let go of all desires and all preferences to be, in one sense, inadequate to address the full necessity of the third density seeker's journey to the Creator. We are those of QO, and we are with this instrument. As has been previously spoken to, the general and oversweeping acceptance of circumstance in this density, while admirable, is deficient, may we say, in its allowance for the fullest experience and expression of the individual aspect of the Creator in this density. As we see it, the acceptance of circumstance is a portion of that yin and yang symbol that many on your planet are aware of. Without the specific connotations of that symbol, we see the tactic of full acceptance while having relationship with acts of intention setting, visualization, and affirmation to be a creation of something that is more whole, if you will, like two puzzle pieces that fit together to create a fuller picture. The information from one tie in seamlessly with the information from another to form a full expression. That being said, each seeker may depend upon acceptance more than the setting of intention, while their brother or sister may operate oppositely. We must stress that there is no true wrong, if you will, way of using or employing these tactics, for all is one, and a great experience in this illusion, bountiful with opportunity for growth, learning, and experience. Both tactics require, on the seeker's behalf, a sense of faith, which is, in itself, a powerful tool towards spiritual evolution. It is finding that balance that each seeker may feel a need to experiment with and discover. Again, we send this instrument the notion of faith that with these two tactics under one's employ, they both require a sense of knowing that all is well. For in the first tactic of acceptance, you are met with situations that one may define as negative or positive, helpful or not helpful, painful or pleasurable. The acceptance of them, however you describe them, takes a leap of faith to recognize that they are valid and important, and that you are meant to, if you will, experience these situations, that it is a part of your journey, part of your story. The other tactic being the setting of intentions, the affirming of thoughts, the visualizations of what one desires, requires faith in that there is the knowledge that you are putting your energy, your light out into the universe and hoping and asking without necessarily return of the desired outcome. And to continue doing that takes a great amount of faith. Now, we must point out that one may not be able truly to incorporate just one tactic without even a taste of the other tactic. For we see that in setting an intention and not having what one desires to become a reality in your illusion, one will likely have to at least face the fact that the non-desired outcome will either require acceptance or denial. Even just facing that choice is in some part a realization that acceptance must happen, even if you accept to not accept, if you will. And if one just goes through life accepting everything as it makes itself a participant in your reality, the experiencer must, we correct this instrument, the experiencer will likely require at least some form of an intention setting, even unconsciously or subconsciously, to keep the path. We correct this instrument, to keep those footsteps moving forward along the path. For without desire and with only pure acceptance, one may find themselves completely stationary, without one foot moving towards a hoped-for outcome. So again, we stress that we see a need for a special balance between those two methods for making sense, if you will, of your outlook on your incarnation. When used together in that perfect balance, which again is unique to each seeker, as each seeker is a unique expression of the kaleidoscope that is the Creator. The combined use of these tools in their perfect balance is, we correct this instrument, combination of the use of these two methods is far stronger than one without the other.